Hi, this is the first complete comprehensive example without adjustment of capitals. The chapter is retirement of partner. Let's go to the example sum 1. Example sum. X, Y and Z are partners sharing profits and losses in the ratio of 3:2:1. The balance sheet of the firm as at 31st March 2019 was as follows. To the left of the screen, we have the balance sheet given. On the right, additional information. Z retired on 1st April 2019 on the following terms. Point A. Goodwill of the firm is to be valued at Rs 34,800. Point B. Value of patents is to be reduced by 20% and that of machinery to 90%. Point C. Provision for doubtful debts is to be 6% on debtors. Point D. Z took over the investment at market value. Point E. Liability for workmen compensation to the extent of Rs 750 is to be created. Point F. A liability of Rs 4,000 included in creditors is not to be paid. And point G. Amount due to Z to be paid as follows. Rs 5,067 immediately, 50% of the balance within 1 year, and balance by a draft for 3 months. We are asked to prepare the revaluation account, the partners' capital accounts, and the balance sheet of the new firm. So we'll begin with the revaluation account, go on to the partners' capital account, and then prepare the balance sheet. Any working notes will be done at the end of the sum. So let's go to the solution. Solution. Revaluation account. Left side debit side, right side credit side. Particulars. Rupees. Particulars. Rupees. Point A. Goodwill of the firm is valued at Rs 34,800. This will not affect the revaluation account. Point B. Value of patents is to be reduced by 20%. The book value is Rs 10,000. So patents, 2 patents account, 20% of 10,000 rupees is Rs 2,000. And that of machinery to be reduced to 90%. So it needs to be reduced by 10%. So to machinery account, 10% of 50,000, 5,000 rupees. Point C. Provision for doubtful debts is to be 6% on debtors. Original value of debtors is 4,000. 6% comes to Rs 2,400. Existing provision is 2,000. So I need to create 400 rupees more. 2,400 minus the existing provision 2,000. So 2 provision for doubtful debts. Account 400 rupees. Point D. Z took over the investment at market value. The book value is 15,000 and it's given in the balance sheet that the market value is 17,600. There's an increase in the value of investments by 2,600 and we have to record the increase because Z is taking over the investment at the market value. So we increase the value of investments by 2,600 rupees by investments account 2,600. Point F. A liability of Rs 4,000 included in creditors is not to be paid. reduction in liability by creditors account 4,000 rupees. The greater total 7,400 on the debit side. There's a loss by loss on revaluation. Transferred to partners' capital accounts. We have X, we have Y, and we have Z. $7,400 is the greater total, minus the total of the credit side, 6,600 rupees. We are left with a loss of 800 rupees. 800 rupees needs to be divided in OPSR 3:2:1. We have 133 rupees against partner Z, 267 rupees against partner Y, and 400 rupees against partner X. So this is a revaluation account. Next, let's go ahead with the partners' capital accounts. Partners' capital accounts. Particulars: left side debit, right side credit. Particulars: partner X, partner Y, and partner Z. Particulars: partner X, partner Y, and partner Z. Let's begin by bringing down the balance of the capital accounts by balance brought down. 68,000 for partner X, 32,000 for partner Y, and 21,000 for partner Z. We'll transfer the loss on revaluation to revaluation account. As per the revaluation account, the loss was 400 for partner X, 267 for partner Y, and 133 for partner Z. Next, we'll deal with the reserves and the fictitious assets. There's a workman compensation reserve of rupees 12,000, and it says the liability for workman compensation to the extent of 750 rupees is to be created. So we have the balance of 12,000 minus 750. Workman's compensation reserve 12,000 minus 750, which is in other words 11,250, to be distributed in 3:2:1. So we have 5625 for partner X. For partner Z, $1,875, and for partner Y, $3,750. So let's enter that by workman compensation reserve. Account 5625 3750 and 1,875. Investment fluctuation reserve. There was an increase in the market value of investment. So the investment fluctuation reserve is no longer necessary. We'll distribute that in 3:2:1 by investment fluctuation reserve account. 3,000, 2,000 and 1,000 rupees. There's a fictitious asset, advertisement suspense. Let's write it off. To advertisement suspense account, we need to divide 5,250 in 3:2:1. We have 875 rupees against partner Z, 1,750 rupees against partner Y, and 2,625 rupees against partner X. We've dealt with the reserves and the fictitious asset. We'll deal with the goodwill. The existing goodwill is there in the balance sheet on the asset side, rupees 6,000. We need to write it off. To goodwill account, rupees 6,000 to be written off in 3:2:1. 3,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees and 1,000 rupees. Next, let's deal with the fresh valuation of goodwill. The point A, which says goodwill of the firm is to be valued at 34,800. So let's insert the working note for treatment of goodwill. Working note 1 is treatment of goodwill. We have OPSR between X, Y and Z. It's given as 3:2:1. There is no mention about the new profit sharing ratio or the gain or the gaining ratio. Z is the partner who's retiring. So we know that the gaining ratio should be equal to the old profit sharing ratio between X and Y, which is equal to 3:2. So the journal entry for goodwill is to debit the gaining partner's X capital account debit, Y capital account debit, to the retiring partner's capital account to Z's capital account. We'll credit Z with the sacrifice or the share of Z, which is 34,800. We have given that the firm's goodwill, as per point A, the firm's goodwill is rupees 34,800. So Z's share of goodwill is equal to 34,800 multiplied by 1 divided by 6, which is Z's share. So we get rupees 5,800 rupees. So that's Z's share of goodwill, and this has to be divided between X and Y in that gaining ratio 3:2. So against X we have 5,800 into 3 divided by 5, and against Y we have 5,800 into 2 divided by 5. So we have 2320 and 3480. So let's post this. By X capital account under Z 3,480 rupees, and by Y capital account 2320, and on the debit side to Z's capital account under X we have 3,480, and under Y we have 2,320 rupees. We've dealt with goodwill. Let's deal with the D subdivision. Z took over the investments at market value. So we have two investments account, Z takes over the investments of 17,600. All the items are done. We'll deal with point G, which is settlement of retiring partner. We need to pay him 5,067 immediately. So to bank account 5,067, and out of the balance 50% in 1 year, so that will be transferred to Z's loan account, and the remaining 50% X and Y accept a bills payable, a draft. So let's balance the accounts. In the case of Z, credit side total $29,675, and debit side total for Z is coming to 24,675. The greater total on both sides 29,675. The difference is 5,000 rupees. 50% of rupees 5,000 to be treated as Z's loan, 2,500 rupees, and another 50% to be treated as a draft which is accepted by the remaining partners X and Y. We'll balance X and Y's capital. In the case of X, greater total 76,625. The total on the debit side in the case of X, $9,505. On deducting 9,505 from 76,625, we get 67,000. Write the greater total down. 67,120 rupees. In the case of Y, the greater total 37,750 rupees. The total of the debit side in the case of Y, ₹6,337. 37,750 minus 6,337 is equal to 31,413 rupees. So this is the capital accounts, the partners' capital accounts, just prepared by us. Next we'll go to the balance sheet. In the balance sheet, we will put the balance of capitals of X and Y as 67,120 and 31,413 respectively. The amount which was immediately paid to Z, 5,067, will be deducted from the balance of bank, and only the balance will be shown in the balance sheet. 2,500 rupees Z's loan will be shown on the liability side, and 2,500 rupees draft or bills payable, which is accepted by X and Y, will also continue to appear on the liability side, and the other assets and liabilities will be revalued as per the information given. So let's go ahead with the balance sheet. Balance sheet as at 1st April 2019. Left side liabilities and right side assets. Let's begin with the liability side item, creditors. Book value 21,000. As per point F, a liability of 4,000 is not to be paid from creditors. So the final figure 17,000 rupees. Workman compensation reserve has been replaced with the claim workman compensation claim, and the amount of claim as per point E, liability for workman compensation to the extent of 750 rupees is to be created. So the amount of claim is 750 rupees. There was a loan which was payable to partner Z, which was 2,500 rupees. Bills payable accepted by X and Y in Z's favor is rupees 2,500. The investment fluctuation reserve was distributed, so it will not appear again. We'll insert the amount of the capital accounts of the remaining partners, X and Y. We'll refer to the capital accounts for this. 67,120 in the case of X. And in the case of Y, it's 31,413 rupees. Totally 98,533 rupees. Let's continue with the asset side items. Cash at bank. The amount in the balance sheet is 5,750, but we paid partner Z, the retiring partner, as per point G, we paid him 5,067 rupees. So the balance cash at bank is 683 rupees. Debtors, original figure was 40,000 rupees less the provision. The provision was to be 6% on debtors, so it was 2,400 what we created. This comes up to 37,600 in the outer column. Stock, there is no change in value, 30,000 rupees. The investment has been taken over by partner Z. Patents, We reduce the value by rupees 2000, 20%. So now the value is 8000 rupees. Machinery was brought down to 90% of the values. So we deducted 5000 rupees. So it's now 45,000 rupees. The goodwill, existing goodwill was written off, and so was the advertisement suspense. That also was written off. So let's check if the balance sheet tallies. So the total of both sides tally with 1,21,283 rupees. This is a balance sheet. I'll remove the split and we can view the entire sum together. We began with the revaluation account. Followed by the partners' capital accounts. And then the balance sheet. The treatment of goodwill was done as part of working note 1.